Well, good evening, at least here in the States. And much echo. Let's tune that down a little bit. There we go. That's a lot better. Well, today I'm just in the exotic Far East. And let's call that up, see where we're at. We are at Zulu Sierra Papa Delta on the Eastern USA server. And we'd like to wish everybody a happy Sunday and welcome to March. We had a bit of entertainment here earlier in the week. March definitely came in like a lion, Uh, we had a storm Friday morning about 12 o'clock at lunchtime, and it was a pretty bad storm. We had a severe thunderstorm warning, but it blew through, and we didn't seem to have too much trouble. I flew with Fabio and had a good time with that, and that was nice. And then the winds started to pick up. 20 knots, 30 knots, 40 knots. I think we ended up at about, I think they recorded it at 75 knots at the airport. If there was, and the ground was soggy, so if there was a tree that had a weak root system, and the ground was too soft to support its weight, that wind really pushed them over. And unfortunately, about three of the trees fell on the power lines and knocked out the power, and the power company was working like crazy to put it back together, and it took them 24 hours to do it. So I didn't get to fly until late yesterday again, or even check my internet. But as you can see, we're here in Shanghai. We're going to start the motor here in a little while, and we're going to take a little tour around Shanghai. The city is over there somewhere. It's a bit foggy this morning, so it's kind of hard to tell. But we'll definitely be going to take a look at the city, and we'll take a little short trip up the Yangtze River. And then, if we've got a little bit of time left, which I'm figuring we should, we're going to go down the coast a little bit. Not fly, we're just going to pop down there. It'd be a little bit long to fly, even in jets. We're going to go down to Hong Kong and take a look at the approach, the wild approach into Kai Tak. See what people had to put up with before they closed the airport. We'll do this first here in Shanghai, then we'll go to Hong Kong. China needs to get more attention from the flight sim community, but we're not going to get a lot of photogrammetry or really detailed scenery unless somebody in the community does it, because, well, just the way the politics are at the moment. Wish it wasn't so. China's beautiful. Now let's see if we can get back here in the cockpit. Time to start throwing some switches. We're set at local dawn. You can see by the clock here. It is 7 minutes after 7 a.m. here local in Shanghai. So that's the way I've got it set up this morning. It'll give us some contrasting shadows. And there go the servers. The servers are going to give us a little bit of fun this morning. It's not like there's a lot of flyers running around here in Shanghai. Okay, let's kill that. Let's start activating our systems here. There it says we're successfully connected. Why they put that right in the middle of the screen is beyond me. It needs to be up here in the corner. Okay, left battery on, right battery on. We'll go ahead and turn our generators on. We'll look over here at our magnetos. Cut them on. Turn our nav lights on. And beacon on. Seatbelt light on. Let's go ahead and turn the dome lights on. Okay, we added fuel earlier, so we're tanked up and ready to go here. Okay, we'll switch to the left engine. We'll prime that a few times. About 4, I think, should get it. Now let's see. We want to pop our cover. Let's start number 1 first. See. We'll open up the window here. Holler out, clear prop. Let's give it a crank. Oh, we have a good start there. Switch our engine to the right starter. Open the window, lean across and shout out that window, clear prop. Didn't catch. Hit the button right, I guess. There it goes. And we have a start. We're going to let the engines warm up a minute. Turn our starter off. Close the cover. Turn our avionics on. That's the switch up here on the overhead. And it's still early. We'll turn on the red light. There we go. It's a nice, balmy 59 degree or 58 degrees Fahrenheit here. Which, considering it's still winter and or early spring, it's nice. It's already March, and that's hard to believe. Let's see. Scoot ourselves around here. Get rolled up here into position. Lift our feet into place. Well, while the prop warms up, you can see we've got a flight plan loaded. And I like to use it, so I'm going to turn on my 750 here. Paying for it, might as well use it. Going to close the window now. Check and make sure any passengers are stowed away. One of the few aircraft that doesn't show, or twins that doesn't show my partner in crime in the seat beside me. See if it shows us from the outside. Nope. And as you can tell, we're representing our business interests today. What's the point of being a multi-billionaire if you're not flying around the world? Okay, let's check our instruments here. Everything is starting to warm up nicely. And we're going to close our cowl flaps to get the heat to come up a little bit more. If it starts to get too warm, we'll open them back up. Okay, now where's the runway? Let's look at the chart. Okay, anywhere right in front of us is the runway. Okay, now at this point, as we're starting to learn in our air traffic control lessons, this is where I would call the tower. And because this is a local flight, we're not going to file an IFR flight plan. We're just going to file a VFR, visual flight rules, local. We would contact the tower and request permission to taxi to the active. Something like November Kilo 54. Nope. I can't even say it right. November Kilo Romeo 54 to Shanghai Tower or Shanghai Ground. Request permission to taxi. And if you know they would, if they're not too busy, they'll grant it. Then we can start our way. There, we release the brakes. Sit up in our chair so we can see where we're going. Oh, great. That done what I think it's done? Yep. Okay, you know the routine by now. Just when I was getting comfortable in my computer chair, too. This won't take long. Okay, I think we've got our throttles back, for at least for a moment. So let's turn the camera back on so everybody can watch my face as I goof up around here. And the engines died too because the throttles got cut. Let's crank them back up here. There's the left. And there's the right. Okay, and we're creeping already. So let's get ourselves turned over here. We'll go to the taxiway to start our trip to the runway. I should have known everything was going too well when I started back up. Okay, taking taxiway Papa 4. Okay, we're now on Bravo 5, or Bravo. We'll just go down here till we can turn into the runway. There's somebody going to be taking an airliner flight out of here soon. That's nice to see. Okay, here we are on Bravo. We're going to turn left onto Alpha. Tap our brakes a little. Not going to be on Alpha too long. We're going to turn on to, looks like, I can read the sign here. Like Papa 6. And then we're going to turn onto 35 right. Actually, we're going to hold short. And that twist was my feet, not the aircraft. Uneven toe brakes. Okay, now we switch from ground tower. We tell them that we're holding short at 35 right, and we request permission to take off. Now, everything, we've done our paperwork right and kept our friends happy. It's kind of granted that they will give us permission to take off. So we'll start to roll forward here. There, I've scooted a little bit up to keep the feet on the rudder pedals. Okay, we want to turn left. So we're looking down the runway. Get onto the center line here. And if we have permission for takeoff, we're going to accelerate and go for liftoff. Power coming in. Remember to hold her down as you build speed. And then you can just lift off. Retract your gear. Doing a little bit of yo-yoing here. That's because I was reaching across the throttle quadrant. Yeah, that's about as high as we really want to go today. And it's going to be difficult to see the ground. Okay, we want to bring our RPMs back under critical. They don't turn immediately or come down immediately. Watch where we're flying. We don't want to look at all these buildings. We're trying to turn a little bit north so we can get back on course. We're up to 160 knots or so, which is fairly quick. Start trimming. There we go. Watch our rate. Okay, I'm going to switch over to nav now. Activate the autopilot. And the altitude hold. And the V-lock. Now, if all things are right, now in just a second, she's going to turn onto our base course heading. There she goes, which will give us time to look out the window at the lovely city of Shanghai. Only it's so foggy, it's hard to see the city. But downtown is going to be off to our left as we cruise up the Yangtze. Off to our right, can't see it yet, but that's the mouth of the river Yangtze. We're doing 160 knots. Trying to get our RPM balanced right here. See this spinning dial here? That tells me when I've got it balanced. When it stops spinning, that means I've got the RPM fairly balanced. Almost there. That's close enough. This is mostly a visual flight. There's not very many nav aids for us to tune in a VOR or a RDB. So we're just going to look out the window and use that as our marker. And of course, we've got our map. There, that shows us our moving map here shows us our river, our course, and the local airports. We're coming up on Zulu, Yankee, Alpha, Papa. Kind of interesting because it's the only open space in a crowded city. Now, like I said, it's going to be nice if we can get to someplace. Something thinks it sees a VOR. Must be a ILS. Okay, we're starting to be able to see a little bit more of the river out the windows. And you can see there's quite a lot of shipping traffic on the river. It's amazing how wide the river actually is here. If this part of the world ever gets the We Love VFR treatment and the marinas and such, I expect this area will be crawling with boats. Because there's a lot of shipping and boating that happens in Shanghai. Not much to do but watch it go by at this point. But look at all the apartment buildings here. Okay, there's the downtown. Now let's take her off of nav. Put her on heading. Let's change our heading. And let's go take a look at downtown. We'll just go from there and intercept our course. We'll not come straight back to it. This will put us, we should pass over Zulu Charlie Hotel Alpha. And this is just an offshoot of the Yangtze, and this is a really good sized river itself. Just course again. There's actually some interesting things to see here in Shanghai. There's quite a individualistic set of architecture here, which you wouldn't expect to find in this environment in China. But business is booming here. See if we can get some vibes going soft in the background. Get my feet off the rudder pedals so I can scoot over. There we go, that's something. And it's nice and low volume, so it shouldn't be bothering people. I'm kind of curious about this fire. I'm going to need some altitude. Those buildings look awful tall. Up we go. We're going to climb to 1,000 feet. That is fascinating. I don't know what it is. We're going to take a closer look at it. This is just out of the box scenery for here. That is interesting. Never seen anything like that in a building before. That's an interesting office building. Quite the high rise. Okay, let's change ourselves back to course here. Looks like we're going to be heading back the way we started after all. If we can get her to make a tighter turn here. Downtown here looks fascinating. And this isn't photogrammetry, this is called computer program generated. And it's still interesting. there's a stadium there, and it's not as detailed as it could be. We're going to head back toward the Yangtze. Get ourselves back on course here. Get to the Yangtze here, or our base course line, we'll go back to nav, so we won't have to spend so much time paying attention to our course. You don't know. Jon Snow, you know nothing. This is a beautiful country. Beautiful, interesting city. Wouldn't want to live in it, but it'd be nice to visit. All right. Switch to nav. That'll put us back on course. Lots of little bridges down there for people to cross back and forth over a waterway. Bigger bridges over the backwater here. I guess the people that want to cross here on the Yangtze would take a ferry boat. I'm sure there's a bridge there somewhere. Just don't depend on Flight Sim to show it to us, not straight out of the box. I'm sure somebody is probably building some scenery for it. For some reason, Shanghai has not gotten the love that Hong Kong has. Hong Kong is an absolutely fascinating city. And because of the terrain it's built around, islands and different valleys, it's quite a challenge to fly in. Somewhere over there, there's an airport. I can barely see it from here. This would be a city to really get around in a helicopter. A lot of container storage. There's some colorful buildings down there. We'll see how this goes. But I'm planning on making the trip in Hong Kong tonight. Otherwise, we may do a special stream during the week and go there during the week. If not, we'll do it next Sunday. It's a very interesting flight. I've tried it out myself. The ILS is kind of tricky. The aircraft haven't been wanting to exactly make the capture, but it's easy enough to fly it by hand if you pay attention. You get down in amongst the buildings, it gets pretty strange. And then the ILS makes a turn onto final at the airport. But there's a big sign on the ground so that you can see that tells you to make the turn. Starting to wish maybe we hadn't planned this for a jet. See if I can call this up. Oh my goodness, let's see. That's quite a ways away. There's not any very long legs on the flight plan, but there are lots of little short ones following the river. So we may divert and cross the Yangtze and make this trip short, pick it up later. We'll just try that. We can do this here. Remember where we're going here. Should have wrote it down. Okay, we're going to divert. We went too far. Oops. Tries to fill it in itself. There, that. Enter. Activate. Enter. Okay, this is going to take us to Zulu Sierra November Tango. which is across the river. And from there, we'll land, get everything squared away, and then we'll move to Hong Kong. Still quite a bit of distance to cover here. See if I look at my map. It's telling me we've still got 32 nautical miles to go. All I had to do was look at my chart and it would have told me. One thing about this kind of flying is it's easier on my arm. Not that anybody cares, but we're going to turn on the altitude reporting because we did divert. Don't want anybody bumping into us. Pick up. We'll probably switch aircraft when we go to Hong Kong. It won't take too long, but the simulation is slow. You can see all the shipping traffic here in the Yangtze. And I think this is light. I think this river is a bustling center of trade and activity with lots of ships. All carrying cargo coming into and out of China. Raw materials coming in and packaged goods coming out. As you can see, we're right at 1,000 feet, which will make landing fairly simple, I hope. I've got the landing rate monitor turned on, so it'll tell us how we landed. If we can get between 100 and 200, we'll be doing fine. "22 miles to go. Pretty quick at this pace. Not much to do until we get closer, then we'll hand fly it in. Okay. Oil pressure is good. Fuel pressure is good. Cylinder head temperature is right on the low end of the green. That's fine. Our oil temperature is cooler. That's fine. We don't want it to get too hot. Although cool is not good for your engines either. And now we're on the north shore of the Yangtze. You can see how built up or less built up it is here. More fields in amongst the factories. Stretch and reach the mouse. Try to avoid the buttons. As you can see, the terrain is fairly flat here, although ahead there's some hills breaking the monotony. Off to our left, that would be something to be concerned about on final. Apparently we've passed whatever the VOR signal was. Let's take a look at the chart and see if there's what we might be picking up. No, there is an ILS up here. On 109.1. Okay, let's come off a nav. Take the CDI off of that. Should have adjusted our course first. I can see the tower. We want to watch our localizer again. It should tell us when we're close to the path, although these markers will tell us that. Now this autopilot does not have a. Well, yes, it does. I just don't know how to use it. It has an approach control. Try to turn toward the airport here. There it is. Don't know what the tower. Oh, it's a windmill. It's not air traffic control tower after all. It's just one of the big turbine windmills. live without the autopilot now. Cut that off. Take control back to the manual. Cut the throttles. Start descending here. There's the outer marker. Beep, 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 beep. Okay, there's the button for their ILS approach, but I'm not going to try it tonight. Okay, there goes the VOR, or the ILS slope. Gear button. Get her slowed down here. There's the gear coming down. A little bit left of course. One notch flaps, please. Try to keep our airspeed up. Don't want to hit the buildings. Okay, we're going to cut our throttles now. Just let her glide in. There we're touching down. Guide the rudder. Start tapping the brakes a little. Raise our flaps back up. Then we'll take this exit on Alpha. Take a quick taxi over here to parking. And now we're going to take the train down to Hong Kong and rent an aircraft. Okay, there we are. Close enough to get us there. Cut the mixture. That'll turn our engines off. Mags off. We've got the master switch there that cuts them off. Open up our cowl flaps again. And then we're going to cut off the electronics. Okay, continue. Don't know why I did that. I should have gone. We want to finish. Beacon off. Turn everything off. shut down. Now we can go back to the main menu. Just be patient. We'll be going to Hong Kong anytime now. Okay, let's see. Ta-da. There. Come on. Now, where did I put it? Oh, there it is. Get daylight hours here and get an airplane that we want. Want something that goes pretty quick. I like this little airplane. It's fun to fly. Let's see, we want it. Everybody will know we're Yankee. Don't need that much fuel, but we'll load some up anyway. Okay, we'll be taking off from a military base. So we'll select that for our starting point. And here we go. Welcome to Hong Kong vicinity. Of course, if the weather is bad, we will change the weather. Okay, it says ready to fly. A little bit dark. I have to change that. It says it's just after midnight local. We're going to boost that up to approximately. Just saw the moon go down. Let's see. Here comes the moon. There she is. I can see it up here. You can see the moon. It's a full moon, or mostly full moon anyway. But it doesn't help us fly today. So we're going to put her closer to dawn. Actually, a little bit past dawn. Close to 8 o'clock here. There. Weather looks nice. Now let's see if we can get this aircraft started. Master battery. Alternators 1 and 2. Fuel tank selected. Magnetos to both. Okay, fuel set to rich. Max RPM. Got to start on the left engine. And to start on the right. Great. And there's our partner. This aircraft shows she's in it. That's nice. And here's how you get in and out. Just turn that handle. The canopy rolls backwards. You just climb right out. Close the canopy up here. Turn our avionics on. Pitot heat just because. Okay, let's pop the brake here. Need to turn our beacon on and stuff. Lights. Beacon. Navigation. Strobes. And our taxi light. All right. Got a transponder? Yes, we do. I'm going to set it to alternate altitude reporting. And let's start our continue our taxi. Okay, is this runway long enough? Buildings are awful tall around here. Let's go to the next. Add a little bit more power here. Get down there quicker. Taxi speeds, you can generally go up to about 26 knots. But you don't want to go faster than that. And now we're doing 30. That's a little bit too fast. A little bit of breakage here. Out of the airplane, we don't want to break it. Okay, we'll use this access ramp. Okay, we're going to hold short here. Jump in here. Look at our map. See what the ILS frequency for Tech is on runway 13. 111.9. 111.9. Alright. Alright, we're just going to leave it on local or localizer. So that should be okay. There we go. Get our heading set. Check. And do out. Okay, that should be enough runway. Let's go. Okay, straighten her out. Power coming in. $80 knots. 90. 100. She doesn't come off the ground smooth. She kind of jumps into the air. Gear coming up. Trim a little. Watch our altitude. Let's turn back onto course here. Oh, there's quite a few people over at Hong Kong. Look at the sheer number of buildings here. That's a lot of people. RPM back just a bit. Manifold pressure back. There, that's here. A little bit more up, please. Autopilot on. Heading. $500 feet a minute. We're going to climb to 1,500 feet. Try to get back on course here. This is the Kowloon area of Hong Kong. Goodness. Watch our airspeed. We're starting to drop a little bit. If it comes down below too much, we'll increase our manifold pressure back up. There's no real reason to, at this climb rate, to increase the manifold pressure yet. Okay, there's 1,200 feet. That's this altimeter. We've already adjusted the barometer. $1,300. Okay, coming up on 50. There, we switched over. We switched our CDI indicator to GPS, and then we activated our nav. This is going to carry us down the river to Hong Kong. It should put us fairly close to the ILS approach for runway 13 at Kai Tak, which is the interesting approach. It'd be nicer if more people flew here. This Navion is not a bad little airplane. It's, for what it is, it's quick, it's small, and it's pretty. The nose could be a little bit more aerodynamic, but it's not bad. I like the way it flies. Like I said, the takeoffs can be a bit much. I'm curious, how did we land that last? We'll look at LRM. We just barely touched down, minus 21. That's kind of too soft. You want to land with a little bit of authority. Lets your passengers and lets you know that you actually made a solid landing. For those people just tuning in, we flew around Shanghai and diverted so we could make the Kai Tak runway 13 approach here in Hong Kong. Now, we're not flying an airliner, which would make that a lot more interesting. But it still should be fun to watch and look out the window, even in this little Navion. It's got such nice viewing. first waypoint is up here at the bend of the river. Then we'll turn and just fly down the river here to Hong Kong proper. Now our Garmin 530 is telling us the whole flight plan will take 30 minutes to fly. So we'll see. As we're just coming up, it's a mile and a half to our first turn. You should be turning, there we go, anytime now. Now we'll just fly down this river. Just looking at some of the tags up ahead, we've got a large selection of all kinds of aircraft. We've got everything from airliners to helicopters. A couple of fast meal jets. We're going to see how many other crazies are making the approach to Kai-Tak. Now, Kai-Tak is closed in our world today, but due to the miracle of flight simulation, it allows us to reopen the airport and relive the past and fly into that old place. Because it had one of the more unique approaches in the world. And the city is so crowded around there that the approach is surrounded by high rises and large numbers of people. Need to control the camera better. Look in the window and see what our pilots are doing. See our instrument panel. Okay, our next waypoint is 6 miles ahead. Now, when we get to Kai-Tak, I'm going to try to shoot this on an ILS. I hope it captures this time. The other aircraft I tried it in, it didn't make the capture. This is where I actually wish I did have the Navigraph charts so it would show me where the start of the glide slope was. I'll intercept it at 1,500 feet, but it's where along the flight path. Don't want to get too high. The mountains around here are kind of intimidating. Okay, we're here hitting our next waypoint. Arrival at waypoint Sierra Zulu 116. Now it's 31 miles to the next waypoint, which is outer marker 13. Here, just enjoy the flying for a minute. I've got to take care of something that just came up. Okay, we're back. Didn't take long to take care of that. Here I am trying to squeak like a little mouse. This is too pretty to stop looking at, really. We're getting out away from the river. Let's get inside here. 22 miles to go. As we're headed towards D26OE. Outer marker 13 will be the next waypoint. Check our maps right quick. Helps bring up the right flight plan. There we go. Okay, it's only 16 miles after 26 OE to outer marker 13. So things will start to happen fairly quick. Still says it's 15 minutes out, so that's not bad. Lots of open water around here in this harbor. At least the guys at Asobo understand that as much as we fly alone, sometimes it's nice to have a companion with you, somebody to share your adventures, a sweetheart to keep you company on your road. Somebody to have fun with when you get to where you're going. It's all about the journey. I think we're going to spend more time flying around here down in Hong Kong than we did up in Shanghai. Although the city of Shanghai was absolutely beautiful. That downtown area was magnificent. Uh-oh, somebody's rolling out the Concorde. When you absolutely, positively have to be there before you left. I think anybody watching my show must have the patience of a saint. I'm not the most entertaining person in the universe. I know it, at least. Okay, any other radios we need to set up? Yeah. Okay, that switched our radios. Nav 1 is now reading for 111.9. When we get close enough, we should start to get our glide slope indicator here on the side. see, 13, so we can turn this to 130. It's 120, 130. We'll go ahead and tune the second one to the same. Actually, we'll tune the second one to about 120, which should show us over here when we start picking it up. Tune our indicator knob to about 130. Okay, the D260E waypoint is 4 miles ahead. We'll be making our turn here. A message light. Yeah, we know. It says we are arriving at the D260E waypoint. We know that. We'll be passing fairly close to the new international airport. Now there's a coughing fit that nobody needed to hear but me. We're starting to get some traffic on our radar. Passing within a mile or so of Victor Hotel, which is the new international airport here in Hong Kong. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse pointer here, but over here in this general area is where we're going. Like they've sent an F-18 to check us out. Oh, he's turning around and going the other way. Oh. Yawnies. Maybe I still haven't slept enough from the other night. Goodness, they'll sneak up on you. I hate coughing on the air. quite a bit of traffic over at the new international airport here. A320 taking off, and and a big Boeing landing. Ghost in the Concorde up there. He's climbing out, passing through 10,000. Beyond the airport over there, you can see some of the high rises that Hong Kong is famous for. Looks like there's quite a good bit of traffic up ahead at Kai Tak. We have to cross this island first. Okay, if we've got it planned right, we should trigger our outer marker light at outer marker 13, and then it'll take us to middle marker. They're adjusting our heading bug so that when we do switch to heading, it'll keep us on course to the runway. I can already see the lights for Kai Tak. That's way up here in amongst the buildings. Lots of high rises. A lot of people. This is one of where land has one of the highest values per square foot on the planet. One thing I haven't seen in this aircraft is the outer marker light. .8 miles to the outer marker. There's the outer marker. Now we're headed for the middle marker. Let's try grabbing the approach button here. Okay. It switches to localizer. It has the glide slope. Glide slope's coming down. I'm going to start slowing down. Lots of scenery to load here. there's 140 knots. We're going to drop the gear. Gear coming down. Oh, there we go. We have the glide slope. All we've got to do is watch our airspeed and ride it down into the buildings. See how the lights curve around? We got to make that turn. Because the airport is way over there. You can see why this is a scary approach for the airliners. You get awful close to the buildings. There's somebody coming in over our head. He's coming in steep. That's a 7-4. Okay, there's the famous sideboard here in Kai-Tech. Okay, approach, autopilot off. Follow those lights in. Cut your throttles. Flaps. Some rudder. Get the power back in. Line up on the center line. Just let her descend slowly. And there's touchdown. Got the throttles. Start braking. See why this is a hard city to make a landing at. The buildings are all around you. Where we want to go. Back up that way. Don't want to drive into the water there. Raise our flaps back up. Now what rate did it give, landing rate give us this time? Oh, wrong button. At 92 feet per minute. That's pretty good. We're happy with that. You can hear the jets. As you can tell, this is not a general aviation airport, although we are at the general aviation end. But that, we want to see the rest of the airport. So we're going to taxi up to the terminal. But there's lots of detail here. As we get closer, you can see some of the lights. Here, we can play with the time and make it nighttime. So you can see some of the night lights. They're in big, bright letters, Hong Kong Kai Cat. As if people doubted where they were. Now we're going to be a non-airliner for a minute, and we're actually going to park up here. This is worth looking at. Oh, stop. Set the brake. Get our camera out here. Now that's interesting to get all the signs that they've got. Directions around the airport. Little place to stand and watch the airplanes. There we go. Hong Kong Kai Cat. That's nice. There's the old sign, Hong Kong Airport. But look at the way this place is lit up. This is a big city. Here you can see the approach lights as they come around the circle. They make the turn up there. Up there at the signboard. Here comes another guy in a 787 Dreamliner. You can see what a nice airport this actually is. They've got stuff for everybody. Let's go look at the GA area. Among the towering skyscrapers around here. Some kind of business here. Hayco. Pretty good sized place here. This one's called Axel. That's a pretty good place too. But they've got facilities here for jets and cargo. Not much room for general aviation stuff here. It's all international. Yeah, I used to own a Kenwood stereo. There's our Coca-Cola. They're everywhere. The South Pacific Hotel, Hong Kong. there's a familiar old sign. FS 98, as real as it gets. Ah. We're spoiled by this new one. Epson, welcome to Hong Kong. There we are, right on the approach path. Whee! Don't see anybody brave enough to do this again, especially in one of the bigger airplanes. Somebody still smokes. Advertising the sale of cigarettes. Well, we've been flying for about 2 hours tonight, all told. We hope everybody's had an enjoyable time, especially exploring Kai-Tak here. Hong Kong is just an incredible city. And I think it's even more spectacular here at night. Okay, here he comes. And he did make the turn. A bit steep. Way higher than we were. Oh, he's taking off. He took off from hotel, hotel, hotel. Well, folks, let's see if Scruffy Tan is on, or who else might be broadcasting tonight. And I want to thank everybody for coming along on our little flight around the Far East this evening. This has been worth exploring. I think we need to come back to Hong Kong some more. I appreciate everybody taking the time out of their nice Sunday evenings and tuning in to a crazy old man and his adventures flying around the Far East. Oh, Scruffy is on. So is Factual Gull. How about we rate Factual Gull? We've rated Scruffy a couple of times.